What is happening? Here we are again, Nitty Gritty Garage. So we got a customer vehicle in today. It's a 2011 GMC Yukon XL, I think it was. Is the model, submodel. We got it in here. He's got complaints of brakes, brake issues, grinding, and then CV axle clicking up front. So we did an inspection. We noticed upper ball joint on the driver's side was bad. The CV axle was definitely bad, the one he was talking about, and then the brakes up front were the ones that were metal to metal and just grinding all hell. So we'll get those replaced and give you a tour of how we do it. All right, got the front jacked up off the ground. First things first. Everyone should know how to do this, but pull your cap off. Then Chevys are 22. Zip these bad chads off. Take these bolts off here on the back of the caliper first to get to your pads. Then after you take this one off, there is one more bolt here, and that's for your basically your anchor bracket for your caliper. So we'll pull this off first, then we'll pull this off, and then we'll see what this looks like. All right, so I pulled these two bolts off. Always want to make sure your guide pins move nice and smooth. Those move nice and smooth. We're good to go. These are the old pads. That's what metal on metal looks like. That thing is trashed. Kind of odd that the outside one didn't wear as much, but the guide pins are moving pretty good. So I don't think there's a caliper issue there. Usually these will get stuck, and then it won't clamp evenly, and then you'll get more wear on one side versus the other. But if you got good movement, good sliding, I think we're good to go. So we got that anchor plate off, your two bracket bolts back here, and then you can pull your hardware off whenever you're ready. So with the brakes pads right in, those pieces of metal. So some of these have a little Torx head. It just kind of holds the caliper against it. It's arguable whether you got to put it back in or not. But sometimes they're Allen heads, sometimes they're Torx. Kind of depends on the model. But pretty arguable whether you need to put it back in or not. I usually put it back in if it's already got one. If it doesn't have one, well, oh well. Here's the front side. You can see, I mean, it doesn't look great, but it's at least shiny. This is what the metal to metal side looks like. Rough. Super rough. Yep. Creates pads that look like this. So it's just gnarly. Change your brakes, people. I always like to put these back in. Honestly, if I have them, I'm going to use them because it holds the rotor up against it, and you're not trying to hold it while putting this bracket on and trying to put these bolts in and all this other crap you're trying to do at one time. It's a lot easier if it's just anchored straight to the hub. Pads, throw those in the bracket. After I bolt the bracket down, we'll go from there. All right, pads in there, inside, outside, the right way, hardware, a little bit of grease. Now, I like to use big C-clamp and then put the old pad in here and then pinch it between the front and the back so you can push these drums back inside, because now your brake pads have a lot more life, so these need to go in. Get the side all back together. New pads in there, looking fresh. New rotor, looking good. All right, here we are on the other side. See if we can get a good shot of this. Try and not move my arm here. It's stable. I'll show you that bad upper ball joint. That thing's shot. All right, so I got this side, rotor, brake, caliper, all that thingamajig stuff off. Let the caliper sit there so there's no tension on the hose. May always be sure of that. So there's I think it's 36 mil bolt up here, and then kind of deeper in there. It's hard to see, but you can see maybe a couple of them flange bolts all the way around on the CV axle on the inboard side, and then this center nut here, and then you should be able to kind of squeeze it out of here. Sometimes you can fit it between here. Sometimes you got to take this sway bar link off. Sometimes that's not enough and you need to take the bottom mounts of the shock off and pull it down. Just kind of depends. Each little Chevy or make and model makes a difference. And then we're gonna do the upper ball joint on this, which is stamped, so you gotta do the whole upper control arm, which is dumb design, but it just is what it is. Now, whenever you're doing anything like along these, you know, type of deals, these are alignment marks. So run through and use a paint pen and mark all of your alignment marks inside and outside on both sides. That way, you put the new one on there and it's going to be exactly where the old one was. Got that upper control arm pulled off, as you can see. You got a mark. Very hard to see, but light up here. Mark your marks. It helps a ton. Helps an absolute ton. So, new control arm, fresh. New CV axle. Here's the old one. It was in shambles. And here's the old ball joint. Thing must have been mint. It's crazy. But yeah, reverse the order here and throw the axle in probably in first. Squeeze it through. Get this whole side back together. That new upper in there. Make sure all your marks are lined up. Torque that bad Chad 140 foot-pounds. This one's like 37, 60 foot-pounds for the inboard flange bolts there. Now this one's very important. If you crush this, it'll kill your wheel bearing early. Or if it's too loose, it will let your wheel bearing kind of, you know, fall apart basically. But 177 foot-pounds on these on almost all Chevys are like that, but 177 on this. Got this side buttoned up, other side's done, and then we already did rear brakes back there, so those are already squared away. And yeah, put the wheels back on, and then make sure you use a torque wrench, torque them down. You don't want to over torque your lug studs. So I'll torque that, torque the wheels down, torque the CV axle back down, and we'll be good. Oh boy, we're running out of battery here on the GoPro, but yeah. That's what you want to hear. Now you're good. All right, got this 2011 Yukon all squared away now. Customer will be happy. He'll be a lot safer on the road with some good brakes and not metal on metal. And we'll get on to the next project. I always appreciate you guys tuning in, checking us out, and watching our videos on general repair, from that to hooning to drifting to whatever else we come across here. So I always appreciate you guys tuning in, and never forget, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and then hit the notification bell too, so you can always when we upload. We're trying to upload every maybe 2 to 3 times a week, so we're trying to push some content your way, that way you can keep up with what we're keeping up on. I definitely always appreciate it. And don't forget, unwind all your torque wrenches at night and be sure to turn them off so they sleep well. Have a good night.